The WK-504 is the alternate assessment rubric or for the DLM. And this form is taken directly from the example that was provided to us here in Kansas for the DLM rubric for students with most significant disabilities. So on this form, you're going to see pretty much what you've already seen on the paper version rubric that was distributed to everyone. The difference is this will autofill in the student's name, school, date of birth, grade, parent and guardian information you can type in, because sometimes that is not always the contact number one. Perhaps the student has an educational advocate or they're living with foster parents or something like that. So that parent guardian information gets typed in. Again, this is the same form, but anytime you see yellow instructions in WebKids, these are something that's not going to print, but it's alerting you to something that you may need to do in order for the functionality of the form to work properly. So in this one, it's reminding us that when we click save after we answer the questions, depending on how we answer those questions, it may or may not provide more questions, or it may end the form depending on the answer we chose. So for example, this is one of the very simple ones that I can show you as an example. Number one asks you if the student has a current IEP. The form says to skip it if this is for an initial, or questions regarding IEP content should be answered through supporting documentation. If they don't have an IEP, it tells you to stop here, right? If they do, then you continue. So that's what the form looks like. The functionality within here, if you say no, they don't have an IEP, and you click save, it's going to take you to done, because if they don't have an IEP, you no longer need to worry about filling out the form. So in this case, we're going to click yes. I'm going to save it again so we can kind of take a look at the rest of the form. Just be mindful that once you make those selections, if you click save, because you've clicked no, it will end the form for you. So number two asks another question regarding the student and their assessment capabilities. Not limited, mild cognitive limitations, moderate to significant cognitive limitations, and most significant. You're going to see a theme in all of these columns for rubric wise, as far as being not limited, mildly limited, moderately limited, or significantly limited. And so the definitions or the rubric areas are going to be the same here as they are on the paper form, but you are able to make a selection. Let's say for the verbal intelligence cognition, here's the rubric requirements. What selection did you choose? They're not limited, they're mild cognitive limitations. So let's say you said mild, this one was moderate, this one was moderate, and so was this. Right, whatever your team decides. Those are the things that you are able to put in there. You've got moderate, 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 mild, mild. So based on that and those answers, yes or no, do you feel like the student needs to continue with the form and answering the questions to determine if they're eligible for DLM? So this kind of follows through the whole entire form the same way with your yes or no questions, providing a rating, and making that determination. So there are a couple that have a few extra spots. If no, choose a descriptor that best matches the student performance. In this one, there's only 1, 2, 3, 4 options, so you can grade it here. And you just complete those. So in summary, were most of the ratings on the far right-hand and fourth column, yes or no? Based on this information, the student does or does not meet criteria to participate. And then there are signature lines for everyone who participated in the decision-making for the assessment selection for the student. So you can see the position drop down is parent, admin, special ed, general ed, psychologist, student, other. When you use other, then you can write in whatever that was. You can, most of the time, you're going to have one of these areas of either a special ed provider or general education teacher that's going to cover it. The date field is over here. It's kind of hard to see, but if you're using electronic signatures, you can simply pass this around the table and let everyone sign with their signature. And when I click save on this form and I scroll back to the bottom, you're going to see that it date and time stamped when I signed this document. Okay, so maybe I am the special education provider, and I put my date here. If you're not using electronic signatures, that's absolutely okay. You can still use this form. You wouldn't put any signatures in, but just like you've done with every other form in the past, you use display to print. And when you print that, it's going to give you signature places and boxes or lines to sign in. And this is going to go away, so that will not print out. So even if you're not using electronic signatures, or you're not sending this to someone, via the parent portal, you can still use the form and just to display and print that like you used to do with every other form before it was electronically enabled. So if you have any questions about the DLM rubric or the WK-504, you can reach out to Brian or Amber. It's Amber at webkids.org or Brian at webkids.org. Thank you and have a great day.